One is regarding Paras's doubt. He asked whether lambda function can be declared and called at the same time. So yes, that is possible. And if you want to do that, you can declare a lambda function with any variable and any kind of expression. Okay. And you can also call that function right here. All right. So this was one thing. Another thing, maybe someone came up with this doubt whether arrays they have a fixed buffer size or not. And I'm not sure what I said. Maybe I said that the buffer size is variable. So I would like to correct myself. The buffer size is same for arrays. Here I have declared two arrays. This one has 5 elements in it. Okay, and I have used the sys module to get the buffer size. So the buffer size is 112 and the total size is 132. And this is array 2 with 9 elements. The buffer size is same. However, the total memory is 148 bytes. Please give me a thumbs up if you guys understand both of these parts and the doubt is clear. All right. So in the previous sessions, we had a complete discussion regarding NumPy and we ended up and concluded NumPy with a case study. For that case study, Paras has come up with the solution and it is very well written. Also, all the parts, even the bonus questions that I provided, he has solved them. Uh, I would discuss at the end of the session or maybe later regarding the solutions. But today, right now, we are going to start with the session. All right. However, the code was very well written and everything was correct and according to the expectations. Well done, Paras. All right. So let's start with today's session. And in the previous week, we couldn't complete two things that was web scraping and decorators. So at the end of this week, we will try to complete these two things as well. Today, we will be starting with Pandas, that is a library which is used for data manipulation, and we will see series and data frames, which are two data structures that are present in Pandas. We will see some of the functions that are related to them, how to create, how to join them, and how to explore data frames with the help of Pandas library. If time allows, we will also see how to group data using Pandas. All right. So let's start by declaring or importing Pandas library. So we use ed as the alias for Pandas. And Pandas has two data structures. It has series, data frames. Now, series, it is a one-dimensional data structure. Okay. So if we go by the bookish definition. And data frames, it is a two-dimensional data structure. Earlier, Pandas used to have a third dimensional data structure also. But currently, that data structure is no longer present. Okay. But you have to find out what kind of data structure it was, what we used to call it, and can you in some way implement it in Pandas, right? Like even after it has been removed. Okay. So you have to find for us this third dimensional data structure, what its name was, how it was how it was used earlier, and how you can use it currently, even after it has been removed. Okay, so this is our homework. Now let's start by declaring Pandas series. So we have a function for creating series and we can create series in multiple manners. So firstly, we will see how to create it using list or array, and the concept is similar related to both of them. So either you can pass a list or you can pass an array and your series will be created. In the same manner, if you pass an array, a series will be created using arrays. Now here you can see that these are the elements that I have provided, and along with them, I could also get index number pre-assigned to them. Okay, so though this is a one-dimensional data structure, please don't get confused with it. The index number, they are automatically generated for the series object. Okay, let's store it inside a variable and check its style. So you'll get to know that this is Panda series object. Okay, at the bottom, you will find that the data type of the series has been returned. And this data type, it basically is denoting the whole data type of the series, which means just like arrays, series are also homogeneous structures. Okay, the whole data type of the series is int64. All right. Just like arrays, series also have some attributes, such as if you want to take out all the values that you have provided for the series, we have a values attribute, which gives you an array of all the values that you have specified. If you want to retrieve the index numbers, then we have an attribute that is index, and this gives you a range index object, which denotes the starting, the stop, and the step of your index series. All right. Now, again, if you want to specify the data type separately, so there is also a data type object, and I guess endim can also be used upon series, which tells you that the dimension of series is 1. Okay. Also, the shape attribute tells you that what is the shape of your series. If you want to check length, you can use the length function, and that tells you what is the length of your series. All right. So these are pretty much the attributes that you can use upon the series object. Now, up above here, I created a series, but the index numbers, they were provided to me automatically. What if I want to have my own index numbers? So there is a parameter that is index, and index parameter is going to take a list. So you can provide any index values of your choice. I'm providing A, B, C. Obviously, the length of this index list and the list of values that you provide should match, they should be same. And this is how I can overwrite the index numbers that are starting from 0 with my own index numbers. All right. In this case, if you access them, you'll get your own array with the index numbers that you have provided. Please give me a thumbs up if till everything till here is clear to you guys. All right. Now let's see how you can define a series using a dictionary. So this is pretty much the easiest one. So if I have a series, let's say that is info, and it has my name, it has my workplace, okay, and it has some other values. So I can directly pass it inside the series function. In this case, I'm going to get a series which has the keys assigned as index labels and the values assigned as the values for those index labels. Okay, so this is how, if you do not want to create a separate list of indices, you can use the dictionary method to create a series. The data type of this series is object, and object means that it contains string uh, data type values. All right. The third method is to create a series using scalar values. So if I have a series and I want all the elements to contain one single value, so I can define a series, I can define my scalar, and I can assign the index values of my choice. So in that case, all the elements of the series are going to have same value. All right. So this is how you can declare series in three different manner. by using the conventional method, by using lists and arrays, and by using dictionaries, and by defining a scalar. Now let's see what is a data frame and how it is different from series. So for declaring a data frame, I would use a dictionary. Now there could be several ways to declare a data frame, but I am teaching you a particular method that is using dictionaries. So here I'm going to have a name key, and with this key, I'll write some associated values. So let's write ABC, XYZ, and PQR. This dictionary is going to contain another key. Let us say that is age. And let's give one more key, maybe city. And city also has its own value of list. All right. Now to create a data frame, use the respective function that is 3d dot data frame. And inside it, you can pass your dictionary. Okay. Now, comparatively, if you look at a data frame, you see that it is a tabular structure. It is much more beautiful to look at as compared to series. There are some column names. There are also index values, which I haven't provided. Okay, they were generated automatically. Let's store it inside a variable. I am calling it BS. And let's see what all attributes can be used upon this data frame. So you can obviously check the shape. It says that the shape of this data frame is 3 cross 3, meaning 3 columns and 3 rows. If you check the dimension, it will say 2 because this is a 2D data structure. Then we have uh, columns attribute, which gives you list of all columns. We have index attribute that gives a list of all indices. So all those attributes that you could use upon series, that they are available here as well. Values give you an array of all the values present inside your data frame. Yes, Vijay.
Sorry, that was a mistake.
Oh, all right. Okay. So in a similar way, like we created data frame using a dictionary, you can use lists to create a data frame as well. So in that, for that to happen, you would need to create a nested list. So let's create a nested list. I have names and I have another list for, let's say, place. This is my nested list and I am passing it. Let me just store it inside a variable for ease. So this is how your data frame will look like when I have created it using a list. This one has no column names because I simply provided a nested list. And you could use the same concept to create a data frame using an array. All right, a 2D array basically. So here, if I need to provide column names, I can use the columns parameter and provide the list of columns. So first column is for name, second column is for city. And similarly, if I want to change the index number also, I can provide labels here. Okay, so these two parameters, they also exist for data frames. I believe you all have a basic idea of what a data frame is and how to create it using these two ways. If you want, you can even use a list that is not nested. Okay, that is even fine to create a data frame using the data frame function. All right. Now, talking about how to access these column values. Let's say for a specific value, I wish to extract the values of all the columns. Sorry, for a specific column, I wish to extract the all the values that are present in it. So we created a data frame that is DF. And if I want to access a column, we write the column name. So let's say for name, I want to access all the values. And when you look at it, you can see that the manner in which I have got these values, it resembles to a series. And if you check its style, you can confirm that this in fact is a series. So data frame, one single column of a data frame, it represents a Pandas series. All right, which means that all the values in a column should be of similar data type since series is a homogeneous data structure. But as a whole, you can see that there can be values of different data types inside a data frame, which means data frame is a heterogeneous. Okay, I believe till here everything is clear. Now, talking about the very famous concept of indexing and slicing, is it possible? How to do it? So let's explore indexing and slicing with respect to series first. So I believe we created a series. You can definitely use the associated index number to get the value to which it belongs. So let's index out 53. So in this manner, you can perform indexing. Let's say if I want to perform slicing, so I want to slice out starting from 1 till 4. This is possible. But slicing is only possible if I have a series which contains index numbers. If you remember series 2, it has index labels. So in this series, I cannot slice the elements out. However, if I have integers representing the indices, I can perform slicing. Here, if you want to index any element out, you can write the index label like so, and you will be able to get the concerned element out of it. All right. Let's explore the same in data frames. So DS, it has a column, and we got to know how to access a column, that is by referring to its column name. From this column, since this is again a series, if I want to access out any value, I can refer to its index number and I'll be getting the value. Is it possible? Is it understandable to everyone? All right. Let's do a basic question related to series. So I am providing you some values. These are the values. I'll be also pasting it in the chat box. So from this raw data, create a Panda series. And in this Panda series, what you have to do, you have to print all the elements in lowercase, print all the elements in uppercase, and print the length of all the elements. Okay. This is a task that you guys have to do. If possible, please do it now. Take 2 to 3 minutes to do it and write the code in the chat box. I have provided the values in the chat box. Give me a thumbs up when you start attempting it. Has anyone solved the question? The time is up, guys. If someone has written the code, please drop it in the chat box. If you need 1 or 2 minutes more, then give me a thumbs up. All right. Paras and Modhvaj are attempting. Take a few more minutes, guys. Afan has come up with the code and everything is perfectly solved. Well done, Afan. Paras has also done it with a different approach, I guess. All right. If you guys are doing it or have done it in a similar manner, well, kudos to everyone. Modhvaj has also come up with a code. Okay. So I'm going to paste all the codes here. When you guys go through the notebook, you guys can have a look at which is the approach that you guys prefer. All right. And you can decide it on your own. There is some error with your code, Modhvaj. I guess here it is. All right. Yeah, there is an attribute error. Please check it later. Okay, please give me a thumbs up, guys, if we can move along with the session now. I guess many of you have written the code. Okay, so let's start with exploring data frames. Okay, so when we talk about exploring data frames, I am meaning that there are some CSV files, the files where the values are separated by comma, comma separated values. So these files, they can be transported or imported, and they can be manipulated with help of pandas. Okay, so I have such a file. Let me see. So I have many CSV files available at my hand, and I'll be using one of them. Iris is very common data set, so we will be starting with this. To import a data set, what you have to do, you have to use a function that is pv.readcsv, and you can provide the name of your data file, okay, which is iris.csv in my case. Now I'm going to upload all the data files in the drive as well. I couldn't do it early in the morning, but I'll provide the files to you. Otherwise, you can download these from Kaggle. They are all over the internet. All right, so this is my data frame. And if you explore, most of you might have already had a look at this data frame. Afan has also provided the link for the data frame in the chat box. Feel free to use it if you want to code along with me. All right, so this is the data frame that describes a flower which has three species. Okay, and based upon the sepal length, sepal width, petal width, you see that it has been categorized into one of the species. You also see a column that tells about the ID, and these are the four columns that describe the parameters. And then we have the target column, that is the species column. So mostly these data sets, they come really handy while making machine learning models, because in those models you have some features and you have a target data. Based upon these features, you are going to predict the value of the target variable, which we are going to learn when we explore machine learning. For now, we are going to see what all things are unique to a data frame, to a data set, and how to manipulate it using pandas. So, firstly, let's look at some ways which are going to tell us or provide some information related to our data set. So, at the bottom, you can see that you get to know the shape of this data set, and it is quite small data set with only 150 rows and 6 columns. You also very well know that if you want to print the shape explicitly, you have the shape attribute, and all the other attributes are applicable here as well. Okay, there is no limit to that. When you have really large data sets, okay, and what you want to do, you just want to look at few of its rows, let's say from the starting or from the end, then there are very common functions. So you can do iris.head, mention the name of your data frame and mention the head function. And this will by default give you the top 5 records from your data set. If you want to get a specific number of records, you can write that number and you are going to get as many records. By default, it will always give you 5 records from the starting. If you want to achieve the same, but you want to get the records from the end, we have the tail function, which will return the records from the end. And by default, again, it is going to return the last 5 records. But if you want to change it, you can mention the specific number of records. There are two functions that are used to summarize your data frame. Okay. And when I talk about getting a summary of the data frame, getting to know about the data frame, these are the very basic steps. Okay. And this is not like getting to know about a data frame, it is not limited to all these functions. So when we are going to learn about visualization and bivariate and multivariate analysis, we are going to dive deeper into it and we are going to explore more complex functions that are related to the data frames. All right. So for now, the two basic functions that you guys can use to understand your data frame is the info function, and the next function is the describe function. Let's talk about the info function first. So this function, it contains as a result all the columns and it specifies how many non-null values are present inside these columns. Identifying null value, it is a very common aspect of cleaning your data frame. So if you want to perform an overall check, you can do so by calling the info function. Okay, just you want to vaguely see if there are any null values or not. So I can see that there are 150 non-null values that are present inside each column. And I also recall that the shape of my data frame, it contains 150 rows, which means that in this data frame, it does not contain any null values. I also get a column which tells me the data type of each and every column of my data frame. So ID, it is of integer type. These four are of float type and the species column is of object type. I also get other information such as like at a conclusion, all the data types that are present, the memory usage, and how many entries are present and from where to where these entries are starting and ending. Okay. If you look at the describe function, this gives you the statistical summary of your data. So all the columns that are of numeric data type, you are going to see them here when you use the describe function. Okay. And this is going to tell you a count of null values as well. What is the average value in these columns, the standard deviation, the minimum and the maximum value. And it is also going to give you information about the percentiles, 25 percentile, 50 percentile, 75 percentile. This is something that we will be studying when we will be talking about probability and statistic, what are percentiles, what are quartiles. But I hope that you already have an idea about what these values are. Okay. Talking about the describe function only, if you write a value that, if you provide an O as value inside the describe function, just a moment. All right, so there is a value that you can pass inside describe function to get to know the statistical summary of object data type. However, it is not working currently. I'll check and see what is the value that you can use to only perform it for object data type columns. Okay, give me a moment. All right, I'll find out and let you guys know it later how to use describe function only on the object column. Currently, we'll be proceeding with other functions. Till now, is there any doubt with regards to anything that we have covered till here? Give me a thumbs up if everything is good to go on how to perform a simple analysis on the data set that you have. All right. Now, all these things that we got to know by using the describe function, we also have separate functions to do that. So if you want for your data frame to, like for a very specific column, let's say inside my data frame, I have this sepal width column and I want to know what is the maximum value that is present inside this column. So I have the max function, which will return the maximum value. Similarly, there is a min function, a mean function, standard deviation function, and for median as well, we have a function that will tell you the median of the data. All right, so these are the basic functions that you can use to perform statistical analysis as well. And if you want to know which is the most frequently occurring value inside your column, that too can be found using the mode function. All right. Now, talking about accessing columns, there is another way to do the same. So, if you simply use a dot and you specify the column name, this also returns the values of the column. Okay, this can be done as well. However, if there are spaces in your column name, so inside my data set, sepal length centimeter, this word it has no spaces. That's why I'm able to access it. But if it had any spaces in between, this particular method would have generated an error for me. Okay, so be careful while um accessing a column that has spaces inside it. Then it is better to use this way to access the columns. Let's talk about indexing or indexers. So we already have an idea. Okay, Paras has mentioned about the describe function parameter that we can use. Let's check it out. Yeah, so now it has for species column as well. The unique values, the top value, and the frequently occurring value. I guess if you write the value as O, then it only tells you for species column. Yes. So if you only want for object data type, then you can simply use O. If you want to include numeric as well as object, then you can use all as the parameter value. Okay. All right. So let's talk about indexers. Now, if I want to access, let's say this is my data frame. Let me just display the head of it. Okay. So I know how to access columns. That we have all figured out. But what if I want to access all the values belonging to a row? Now, if in this case I write the row number, this is going to generate me an error and this will be a key error. Why? Because by default, the indexing is done by column names or by column labels. If you want to index out all the values of a row, then you can use an indexer. And we have dot ilog. This is an indexer that is going to index out all the values that belong to a particular row. Okay. If you want to slice out, let's say starting from zero, I want the first four records. So you can take help of the indexers to index things out and also to slice your data frame. To do a similar task, we have the lock data frame as well. Sorry, the lock indexer as well. And this too does pretty much the same thing. Okay, Afan is saying that what if we use the column name and then we perform slicing, right? So then we are going to slice the value for that particular column only. It is not going to happen row wise. Here, if you can see that I have sliced out all the rows, like the first four rows. But if I do it by specifying the column name and then perform slicing, then for that particular column, the values are going to slice out. Both the techniques are fine. It simply depends upon what is your scenario. Okay, what you want to achieve. All right, so these are the two indexers that can be used to perform slicing as well as indexing. And this gives us a major question that if both of them can serve the same purpose, what is the benefit to have another one? Like if iLock can do the same task, why lock is existing? So I want you guys to find out what is the difference between the two. This is a homework for you guys, and the difference is very easy, and you'll be able to find it very easily. There is also another indexer that is the add indexer. And what it is going to do, let's say I want to get out a specific value. So I want to simply index out this value only, that is 5.1, which is located in 0th row and sepal length column. So firstly mention your row, and followed by it you can mention the column. Let's see what is the error here. So what is this doing? This is giving you a specific value. All right. And if you want to change this value, right now it is 5.1. I would like to replace it with, let's say, 9. So that too can be done, which means data frames, they can be mutated. Uh, in log, we can specify which columns we want. Yes, that can be done. Okay, you can specify the columns. You can slice a particular set of columns as well. And in that column, like if I want to slice only these 3 columns, I can specify it. And if I want to slice these 4 rows belonging to these columns, that too can be done. Okay, you guys can explore it on your own, but that is possible. All right, please give me a thumbs up if till here everything is clear how to use these 3 indexers and how to use at. It can be used to access a value, or it can be used even to mutate a value. Is this okay for everyone? Now, if you guys want to reset the index, currently for my data frame, the index is predefined. That is, it is starting from 0 and it is going till 150. If I want any other column to be the representative of indexes, let's say the sepal length or sepal width column or the species column. So how to reset the index? What you guys can do, you can use a function that is set index, and you can mention the column that you want to specify as index. Okay. So now you can see that the species column, this has been set as index labels for my data set. However, if you will access the data set, you will still see that the changes are not reflected in the original data set, which means this function, it is generating a copy of the data set and it is modifying it. And most of the functions that you're going to use on data frame in order to change it in a certain way, they are going to create a copy of the data set and then they are going to change it. So if you want to reflect these changes, again, there are 2 ways. Either reassign the data set to the same variable, all right, or you can use a parameter that is in place and set it to true. By default, the value of in place is false. And if you set it to true, the changes will be reflected in the original data set as well. So now you can see that this is no longer returning me anything and the changes are made with the original data frame. This particular parameter is present in lots of functions which are not directly changing the data frame. All right, please give me a thumbs up if everything so far is clear to everyone and there is no doubt pertaining to anything. All right. 2 things that I would again like to mention. Please see how you guys can slice your data set or your series. And the concept is same. You can use negative indexes, positive indexes. All right, the same that we were doing with strings and other sequence data structures. Okay. Now, moving on, let's explore few other functions. So there is a function which is going to tell you about the unique values present in a particular column. So let's say for sepal length column, I want to see all the unique values that are present in it. So there is a function that you can use, which is unique, and it tells you, it returns an array of all the unique values which are present inside this particular column. If you want to get the count of this value, you simply want to know how many unique values are present and you don't want to know their specifications. So another function is nunique, which tells you just the number of unique values, which is 36 in this case. Another function that you guys can use, it is called value counts. Say I want to know that to these values, how many records are there which has sepal length as 9, as 4.9, 4.7. Okay, which means I want a count of all the occurrences of a unique value. So there is a function that is value counts, which is going to do that for you. So sepal length as 5 is occurring in 10 rows, 6.3 is occurring in 9 rows, and so on. I really like this function because it comes very handy while making data visualizations on data sets. Okay, so please remember this function. Till now, I don't feel there is any doubt because these were pretty much very easy functions. Okay, so before discussing further, like we are going to discuss a few things about data sets and about pandas in the coming sessions as well. I just want to mention another library that is sklearn. So sklearn or scikit-learn, it is used for machine learning and it is a major library that is involved with machine learning. This library, it has some predefined data sets. There are some 13 or 14 data sets. So if you want, you can import them in uh, from sklearn dot data sets import. So there is a data set, if I can correctly recall, that is load diabetes. Okay. And there is a wine data set and there is some housing data sets as well. So you guys can go through the documentation of sklearn.datasets and you'll get to know which all data sets you can directly use from there. If you want to access the data now, so you can use this load dataset function. And when you access this data variable, load diabetes. Okay. When you use this function, you'll get a dictionary. And this dictionary contains all the information about this data set. These are the values. Here you will find a description of this data set. If you scroll to the bottom, you will find feature names. You will also find variables such as data file name, file name, and data module. Okay, so these are some of the things that are going to uh, come pre-written along with this data. Along with this function. Okay, so when you use this function, you are going to get all the information about this data set. However, this is the raw format and you guys cannot directly use it. You need to convert this dictionary into a data frame. And you cannot even directly pass it inside the data frame function because you can see that it also has a description variable, a description key, which has kind of a text associated with it, a string associated with it. So you don't want this string to be present inside your data frame. Also, you don't want this frame value to be present inside your data frame. So here comes another task. You are going to figure out how to convert this raw data into a data frame. And again, it's very easy. So you guys will be able to figure it out on your own. All right. With this, we are going to end the session for today. And tomorrow we are going to meet at the same time to discuss further about pandas. If you guys have any doubt, you can stay in the session or and discuss your doubts. Otherwise, you are free to leave. Thanks for attending, everyone. Okay, Paras, you want me to explain this part of the code? I'll just copy. Okay. So, movies matrix, the one that you have created for the case study, it is a two-dimensional structure, right? If you recall about slicing, then I mentioned that when you are slicing a 2D array, you need to specify the slicing values for rows as well as for columns. So this part is for rows, and since you haven't provided any start or any stop indexes, it is going to slice all the rows. For column, you have simply specified one value that you have looped through this particular case of slicing. So let's say that the value of I equals to 0 for the first time. So what this particular thing is going to do for your array, it is going to slice out all the rows that are part of the zeroth column. Okay. When I will be 1, then it is going to slice out all the rows for the first column. Are you getting it? Yes, it was getting one column only because you have specified it here. Let me take an example. Let's create an array. So, okay, let's say this is your movie matrix. So what you are doing, you are slicing the values, and I am specifying the value of I zeroth for the first time. So if you look at the array, what the array looks like, this is your array, and this is the first column. So doing so has returned the value of only one column to me. You might have used it to calculate or to sum out all the ratings belonging to a particular movie, or to calculate the standard deviation belonging to a particular movie, since the columns they were denoting ratings that belong to one specific movie. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. So are you getting an idea of what this is doing?
The issue was like if I put one the stopping part in the array in the
Mm-hmm.
slicing as well, then I used to get an array of array with one element in each of them.
Which means if I put a stopping value right here,
Uh, for the column,
okay, for the column,
yeah.
let's say it is 2. Yeah, so
Then
what it is doing, now it is extracting two columns. See the
okay.
first one and the second one.
If I put one instead of two, then I'm getting
Mm-hmm.
an one column, but that would be an array. Yeah, I tried
Okay,
to do
each.
this first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, by default, what it is doing, it is transforming each and every particular value into another array. Like it has changed the shape of the array. Okay, so it will be done. Like this is not something that is under your control. That is automatically done. So if you are accessing one column at a time, it is better to use this way. Okay, loop it through, and then you can get out one column at a time.
Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking like if I'm putting only zero over here,
Mhm.
then it means it will take the whole
Mhm.
row part from it because we are not giving any to it,
But
stop value to it.
that shouldn't be the issue, because see, if I say that this row is specifying a user, okay, all row
Hmm.
they are specifying a user in my matrix, and each column it is specifying a movie in my matrix, then at the end I am supposed to calculate, let's say, the average rating for a movie. So if I
Yeah.
want to calculate the average rating for this particular movie and I have accessed all the values of this movie, I can simply use the main function here and I am able to get the average rating of the movies. So
Hmm.
if it is as easy as this, then why to delve into something that is complex?
या मेन प्रॉब्लम मेरे को मतलब यही था कि जैसे
Mhm,
स्लाइशिंग करते हैं तो वहाँ पे हम स्टॉप देते हैं ना, तो हमने यहाँ पे
mhm,
स्टॉप
mhm,
नहीं दे रहा था कॉलम के टाइम पे। तो मुझे ये
mhm,
लग रहा था
mhm.
कि वो पूरा पूरा रो की वैल्यू उठा लेगा, बट
अच्छा,
सिंपल
नहीं नहीं नहीं
सिर्फ़ एक कॉलम उठा रहा है।
नहीं 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 स्लाइसिंग, जब मैं आपको बोलती हूँ ना कि स्लाइसिंग का थोड़ा एक्सप्लोर करो, तो एक्सप्लोरिंग मीन्स दिस ओनली बिकॉज इतने सारे डिफरेंट वेज होते हैं टू स्लाइस एवरीथिंग अकॉर्डिंग टू योर रिक्वायरमेंट कि पॉसिबल नहीं है टू टीच ऑल ऑफ देम, बट व्हेन यू डू
या
केस स्टडीज लाइक सो आपको अंदाजा हो जाता है कि लाइक अच्छा ऐसा भी पॉसिबल है, यू कैन डू दिस.
हुँ, हुँ, हुँ।
ओके,
ओके।
आई बिलीव इट
हुँ,
इज क्लियर नाउ.
या
ओके ओके, थैंक यू पारस.
थैंक यू। बाय।
बाय बाय.